Hi, good day to you. This is Paulson Tupin, and this is my second video assignment for the TAPME Lead program, and I'll be discussing on the topic endowment effect. And for this, I have viewed the reference video by TEDx on behavioral sciences economics on endowment effects and various studies and experiments done on it. So, firstly, what is endowment effect? Endowment effect is characteristics or behavior in which an individual values an item much more once or after he owns it. So, do I agree with it or not? I feel that it is true that we generally see this in young children, but as we grow up, I think it becomes more of a personal trait. Like it depends on person to person on what items he values more, and like it depends on the individual. I'll be getting into that more. So initially on young children, what we see that is that once they own a particular item, they have a special attachment with this. I have seen in a number of my nephews and children of my friends. We see that they grow particularly attached to old toys they initially had, even if it's broken or it's broken or torn apart or anything. And even our offer, they don't entertain our offer for replacing those old toys with new ones. So I feel that yes, in those young children, you see that endowment effect very predominantly. Correct. But as we grow up, I feel that we have more of a practical sense, and from person to person actually changes what a person values more. Some people it may be cars. For example, some people may be cars. They value the cars more, even if they maybe the first car they own and like that. And some people it will be different items. I'll be getting on into that more. But initially, I would like to say that in some of the experiments that what we have seen in this video, I feel they lack certain data to actually confirm on that results. The first experiment, what they had shown was regarding in a group of students, two group of students actually. They had gifted two items. Initially, one group was gifted a cup, and after some time, they were given an option to exchange it with a chocolate, and vice versa for the next group. And they found that people were reluctant to exchange the gifts. I think we need to further analyze this. We cannot conclude with just that statement. We need to further analyze it to see that how many of these students actually like chocolates. So I personally feel that as I like chocolates, if I got a chocolate first, I wouldn't have exchanged it for a cup. And if I got the cup first, I would have definitely exchanged for the chocolate. So I think it's more of a personal choice and personal preference, and it varies from individual to individual. It's got nothing to do with whether I owned a cup first or not. In the other experiment, what they have mentioned is regarding two groups of people, where one group was given a golf club by a famous person. So what they felt is that they felt that attachment. They felt this being owned by that celebrity, it has a certain effect, or that endowment effect acted in another way. So what the experiment comes to conclusion is that they see that these people, actually it was a putting club, that they scored much better than the other group. Again, I feel that we need to analyze this further to study that without this experiment condition, how did the different groups perform on a random basis. So with that data we can confirm whether is it the better playing group got the that claimed rod of a famous person or not. So only after that we can conclude on this experiment. So I feel that the two experiments they have mentioned, it's hard to conclude on it because of this lack of data. And further they explained on how cultural effect is there, and that too I feel that the data is less, because they are just bringing in one condition where a particular culture which doesn't have that modern influence, there is no presence of this endowment effect there, because there is a huge sharing mentality. Is it something very peculiar to that group of people alone? Because in prehistoric times too, people had a sort of ownership. I feel with whatever I have gone through, people had a sort of ownership regarding at least of the area, because they were clearly marking the area which belonged to them, and that ownership was there. So that kind of endowment effect was seen in that. And to conclude for me, and coming to the conclusion from my part on how endowment effect is it something that is very much seen in humans or not? I feel that in the initial phases of individual in young age, that is there, and as we grow up, we become more practical in what we why on our preferences, because some people will prefer a particular item. It may be due to some emotional attachment or due to their personal preferences, and other items they won't give that equal amount of value. If you have an example for a person who really loves cars, the car he owns, he will have more value. Maybe regarding the books he has, even though he is owning it, he don't have that value, or going away with it or giving to another person, he doesn't feel that kind of endowment effect or that special attachment to it. But for that particular item he is having interest to, like a car or thing, he will have that. So I conclude what I feel is that it is there in the younger age, but as we grow up, that practical sense kicks in, and it becomes more of individual or personal choice. Thank you.